Hello, everybody. I'm Michael Tabb. I want to talk to you a little bit about your protagonist character, who is arguably, definitely, the most important character in your screenplay or story idea. The protagonist is the character that has two journeys in the movie, an inner journey and an outer journey. The inner journey is emotional, it is not something the leading character ever intended to do, and it's a change that happens on the inside of the character. The thing about the inner journey is that it must prove the premise. That's why this character is the most important. You set out to write a story to say something important. And this character, over the course of the story and whatever it is they are doing, they learn through the course of the film that your premise is true. And the learning of that fact changes them eternally on the inside. Now, this isn't just something they learned and it's just a change in knowledge. It's a change in behavior and a change in, it's more than behavior, it's personality. So a character will go from one thing to another thing. So if the movie is about being egotistical or your statement, your premise has to do with how ego gets in the way of something, well, then the character will probably go from egotistical to humble. Um, and that's the wording you always use, going from blank to blank. And those two things cannot coexist in the same character. So don't pick two qualities that can coexist. Um, like you could say negative and a leader, because negatives can be a leader. Negative people are leaders all the time. Look around you. So it's a character flaw and a character cure, from a flaw to a cure. Um, and make sure it's always positively worded. You wouldn't want to use a word to describe a flaw or a cure that has the word less on the end or starts with un or has not in it. It's not about somebody who is not active. It would be about somebody who's passive. You wouldn't have somebody who's careless. You would have somebody who's um, you'd have caring on one end. On the other side, you wouldn't call them careless. You would call them fickle or something like that. So that's the important thing, and that's why the inner journey is so important. It's the one character in the story that definitely needs to change based on the realization of your premise. Now, that character will also have an outer journey, a thing that they are trying to accomplish, and it's the pursuit of that thing that puts them face to face with the realization of your premise. So it is a 100% physical task. It has to have a visible finish line. It's not keep the world safe, because there's no end to it. We need to see that there is something specific that this character is trying to accomplish, and there is a physical endpoint for that journey, whether it is pay off their house, win the competition, put a killer behind bars forever. Something that's definitive, and we know that when it happens, the movie is almost over. You can't have something that's endless, because then the audience doesn't know, okay, we're reaching the end. You haven't really ever concluded a story. And also, this needs to be a proactive physical task. It shouldn't just be a reaction to what the antagonist is doing. They're trying to accomplish something of their own, and whatever the antagonist is doing is will keep them from doing it, so they have to go up against them. The antagonist is the same way, by the way. They are trying to do their own thing. There's actually something they want and they're trying to do, and then whatever their position with the other characters are have to do with how that feeds what it is they're trying to do. And the most important thing after all this is saying, with your inner and outer journeys, writing them, there should be no and in your inner or outer journey, because you're not listing multiple things. This is one thing they're doing, one thing. There's one arc, not two. You don't list multiple qualities on each side of the word to when you're going from blank to blank. It's one thing to one thing. If you put in more than that, it's too widespread. There's too many things. It's too much to prove, and it also makes your endpoint. It just makes it unclean. It's uncrisp. It's unclear. You want something succinct here. So my point is with that and the physical task they're trying to accomplish, which is the outer journey, what you want is simplicity and succinct. If you This is one of the most important quotes, and I put it all over my class, and I use this all the time. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Albert Einstein. So keep it simple, keep it clear, be very specific, and I look forward to reading what you guys do.